Hey guys, it's Alaija aka the Kingdom Babe here, and welcome back to the Kingdom Babe Show. What's up, y'all? I'll be so happy and hyped to get on here and just talk my little heart out to y'all. First, I want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this journey I have going for myself here. It's been a while and it's crazy, but I really find it to be a blessing that I can get up every day and literally live the way God intended for me to live, and then share that example with you guys and anyone else who's watching for that matter. So thank you for being a part of, thank you for watching, and thank you for your love and support as well on social media, on Instagram. You guys are so awesome, sending your DMs, you're really sweet. I thank you so much. I can't thank you enough, as a matter of fact. I've just been in a really grateful mindset, kind of spirit, to where even on my bad days, like I look at this and I think about this and it makes me smile again, it makes me happy again. And I'm really happy that you guys are in my life now. I could have never seen this happening for myself. And the fact that it's a part of my life now is something that only God could have done for me. But at the same time, I'm just grateful that he did, because again, it's one of the things you don't ask for, one of the things you're not like frequently in prayer for, but God sees fit to give it to you anyway. So all glory and thanks to God first, but I also want to give you guys thanks too, because, well, you guys are the reason why. So today I had a very specific topic I wanted to talk about, and it was a weird one, because not really a weird one, but it was just one that kind of came to me the other day. And the topic I want to talk about today is peer pressure, or the pressure of peers, or of the people around you. That makes sense, because it's not always peer pressure, meaning that people your age are pressuring you to do something. Sometimes the people that are older than you that are pressuring you to do something. I'm trying to think of instances where people younger than you that are pressuring you to do something and you're actually gonna do it. I really don't know, but y'all know what I mean. Pressure from those who are around you, who are in your life, who are older than you. I know that it's not always just people that are your age or that are in your same, time span of life. Sometimes it's people that are older than you. A lot of the times it can be people that are older than you, that are pressuring you to do things, or to be things, or to say things that are not things that you would like to say, be, or do on a regular. Basically, also wanted to explain to you what it's like being a follower of Christ or a kingdom babe, because y'all are kingdom babes too, as far as I'm concerned. And going through these pressures in life and trying to stay on the path that Christ has set for you. Now, you know better, right? So you have to do better. But what do you do when you're met with someone who's trying to get you to do the total opposite than what you're supposed to do, or what you know you're supposed to do? And unfortunately, I have to be really honest with you. It can be people that are supposed to be trusted individuals. It can be people that are supposed to be good friends. It can also be people that are supposed to be your family that will pressure you or try to pressure you into doing certain things that are completely downright ignorant and stupid. So let's get into my background, my take on this whole peer pressure thing. So I know a lot of the time, the whole peer pressure phase happens to the young adults, the young teenagers, and younger kids in general. It starts because there's an easier persuasion that happens in a person's mind that isn't necessarily completely formed and developed yet. So it's a little bit easier to persuade, it's a little bit easier to convince, and that's why peer pressure happens so much at this time in our lives. It's because it's like, okay, well, you haven't experienced X, Y, and Z yet, so let me convince you before you get to that, and let me try and, twist your mind into doing something that you really shouldn't be doing. Personally, me, I was homeschooled from 6th grade all the way up until I was out of high school, so I kind of missed that whole drink alcohol, do drugs, sleep around people, disobey your parents, chaos for no reason, phase of my life. But I know that some of you have either experienced that or are experiencing that now. And I want you to know that you're not in a bad position, or you're not a bad individual if you're experiencing peer pressure. I know a lot of times peer pressure makes you feel like, okay, am I not good enough doing what I'm doing already? And peer pressure in a way kind of just makes you want to devalue yourself, break down your boundaries, and set aside your own standards just so that someone else could be happy or at ease with your life. And in reality, most of these people that want you to do these things and pressure you to do things that you don't want to do or don't want to say or be are people who have nothing to do with you at all. They don't show up in your life. They don't show up in your life until they want you to do these things. And I guarantee you that 100% of the time, they're not even gonna be there after you decide to do whatever stupid thing they're trying to make you do. And it fumbles and it crumbles and you have to clean up the mess. They're not even gonna be there. They're not even gonna know who you are when you ask them to help you get back on your feet. So first of all, like I said before, I didn't have too many times where I was like struggling and fighting off people trying to get me to do stuff. Like I said, I was homeschooled right at the beginning of middle school all the way to the end of high school. So, I mean, any pressure I dealt with was like other stuff, but the school is the first foundation to where people are away from their homes. They are with their friends, and their friends are doing all kind of chaos. And it's just like, okay, I know how I was raised, but I don't want to be a bummer to my friends. Like, it's cool, or they just started hanging out with me. I don't want to seem boring. The only problem with this is that you're making yourself do this. So you're not doing this because that's who you are. You're not doing this because it's what you like. You're not even doing this because you care about it. You're only doing this because someone is pressuring you and forcing you and nagging at you to do it. A lot of the time, people see that you are a good person, that you have good morals, good standards, and then they kind of see it as themselves, as they see themselves and be like, I don't even have that standard for myself. I don't have morals. I don't have boundaries, or I did have boundaries, but I kind of broke them down and just let someone do whatever to me. So now I got to get somebody else to be like me and get rid of their morals, get rid of their boundaries and their values and their standards. And unfortunately, it's a ongoing process. It's an ongoing trail that happens over and over again, and people often try to get you to be down with it. I remember when I was growing up, I had a friend who was having a birthday party. Now, I was older, but I was also still younger. I was turning 21, but it was her 21st birthday. Love her to death, but she was getting lit. Every single last liquor was on the counter, and I was just sitting there like, what's all this? Where's the apple juice? Where's the cranberry juice? I was sitting there and I was looking like, I'm definitely in a place I've never been in before. And mind you, I've never had a drink. I'm not a drinker, and in my family we don't grow up being exposed to alcohol whatsoever. But at 21 years old, I was still very newborn to this stuff, and I didn't know anything about it. So there was alcohol there, and she was taking shots at 12 a.m. because it was the mark of her 21st birthday. And her mom looks at me and she says, yeah, we're gonna get you some juice or something. And I'm like, okay, but at the same time, I'm looking at all these other girls my age, and it's just like, why am I gonna be the only one that's gonna be taking juice? And they're over here taking, I don't know what it was some thick brown stuff. Anyway, I caught myself being bold. I'm like, listen, I turned 21 in like 4 days, because her birthday's like a few days before mine. And so I'm like, I'm about to be 21 as well. I'm like, that's cool. Girl, you better give me a shot of bourbon, whatever that is. I don't know what it's called. So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to play this role because I want to fit in. I want to be appealing to them. I want them to talk to me. I want them to have conversations. I'm already outcast from the rest of her friends because I don't even know who they are. They're all coming in and they're like high and stuff. And I'm like, what's wrong with them? Are they okay? I don't know what's going on. Honestly, at this point, the only thing I know is that I know my friend, I know her parents, and that's it. Her friends, I don't know them. So it is what it is. Her mom was there for the whole shot taking thing, and I took a little shot of that liquor, that little brown cup. It wasn't even like a sip's worth. As soon as I took it back, I could feel fire in my chest, okay? And I was just like, never again. Never again. It was disgusting. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to pass out, and I was sweating at the same time. And they're looking at me and they're laughing like, girl, you can't handle like that little shot. It was like half of a shot. half of an actual shot. It wasn't even a full shot. And I'm just like having like a moment and a half over here. And they're just like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I just need some water. I need something because I can't do this. And it's amazing because the first thing I did was text my mom. I was like, Mom, I just took a shot of something and my chest is burning. And my mom just laughs and she's just like, girl, why'd you take a shot of it? And I was like, I don't know, Ma. She was like, you don't even do that. And I was like, you're right. I just thought that I didn't want to mess with the celebration. I didn't want to be the only one not doing something. But in that moment, I did put my own standards, my own morals and values to the side to fit in. Is this really a peer pressure moment? No. But the pressure to want to fit in and be accepted or a part of a certain group of people was so real. It was like the funniest experience I've ever had in my life. And while my mom wasn't mad, she was also like, you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. You know that, right? And I was just like, yeah. She's like, if you want me and your father to come pick you up, it is what it is. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm about to be 21 years old, Mom. I got this. I'm fine, okay? And so I really just didn't want to punk out. I didn't want to seem like a baby. I didn't want to seem like, you know, this person who never knew anything about life and, you know, this overly pure, innocent individual. So I was like, Mom, I got it, I'm fine. So we go on this walk and it's like past 12 a.m. And I'm like, yeah. Anyway, we're gonna do it because it's the birthday girl and they wanna go on a walk. So it is what it is. Smelling something and I'm like, what does that smell? Like, ew, is there a skunk out here? And they all burst into laughter. And I'm like, it's not a skunk, it is marijuana. That's exactly what it is. And so, you know, and at this point, like I said, everybody's doing it. They're getting high, they're smoking. And her one friend turned to me and she was completely gone, like drunk, high, whatever. She was like, here, hit it. And I was just like, do what? And she was like, here, like, hit it. And I was just like, and she's just like, you know, smoke, like pass it. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't do that. And then she just looks at me and she's like, you don't smoke either? You don't drink either? Okay. And so I'm just like, what am I doing in life right now? Like, what is this really about? Like, and it's the funniest experience I had because, mind you, kids 11 and 12 are doing this for fun in the streets nowadays. And me turning 21 was just like, so wait, what are the side effects? Like, do I have to go to the hospital for this if I do too much? Or like, well, I mean, if you put your mouth on it first, do you wipe it and then pass it? Or you just keep passing it? Okay, if I take a shot of this, can I still have a snack after? Does it interfere with, yeah, I'm good? Okay, great, I was just asking. Like, I'm so amateur when it comes time to this stuff, and it's so funny. And, you know, often people laugh at that, but I felt so outcast. I felt so different, and I knew my standards. I'm like, girl, you Christian, you love Jesus. You don't do this stuff. You don't even take whiskey. You don't do all this mess. So why are you playing like you do? And mind you, while that was not a part of the deal to go to her house and get high and get drunk, I felt so inclined to do so because I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be like everybody else. And the pressure wasn't even in their words. It was in their actions. It was in their energy towards me. Okay, well, let's go over here and talk while she's over there because she don't know what we're talking about. And I felt bad. I felt like, oh my gosh, like I'm ruining her night. I'm ruining her birthday. I don't want to be the person that does that. And I say all that to say, well, we're still cool. We're still friends. Like, it was no ill intentions, nothing bad about it. And I do not put any judgment into her life because she does the things that she does at all. I love her the same exact way. I'm always going to be me. And she's always respected me for being who I was. But that experience right there gave me a different outlook on life. And it's an experience I'll never forget. Like I said, I was on the cusp of being 21 years old, and there was so much I didn't know and so much I didn't do. So when it came time to, I was like, no. And like I said, these girls, now we get back in the house and they're just sitting there staring at the TV screens. They look like zombies. And I'm like terrified because I'm like, what's wrong with them? Like, why is she responding when people call her? Why is she like laughing at the cow jumping over the fence for the 59th time? Like, what's really wrong with her right now? And so, you know, it was just an experience that I'll never forget. And I feel like even in that moment, God was still with me. And there have been more times where I actually have been pressured to say things, or there's been traps set for me to say things or do things or slip up and do things that I normally wouldn't. And unfortunately, it was from people that were supposed to be good friends that I don't have anymore. People that were supposed to be trusted individuals. And then people that were supposed to be family, which can really burn because you're blood. And so you don't expect your blood relatives to try to get you to think a certain way that's negative, that's dishonoring, that's, you know, something that God wouldn't be proud of you for doing, especially in a family that's been raising you to be this Christian individual. And like I said, the pressure, the traps that people set for you when they're pressuring you to do certain things is really wild. I really think that it's really wild. And unfortunately, like I said, no matter if you're a Christian or not, you're gonna face and experience these kind of pressurings in your life. You're gonna experience the people that are trying to make you, you know, pass the blunt, puff, puff, pass and stuff. And it's gonna be like, I don't do that. And as soon as you say you don't do that, they immediately get offended by it because it's like, well, what are you trying to say about me? And it's like, I'm not saying anything about you. I'm not trying to say anything at all. I'm just saying I don't do it and I don't want to. And if you say no, then your no should be enough. Do not ever allow anybody to make you have to say no more than once. If nobody can appreciate who you are without making you someone you're not, then they don't need to be in your life. If someone has to force you to do something and it's not pushing you in a better direction, and it's just pushing you in a direction of where they want you to go or what they want to see come from you, then you shouldn't be talking to them or hanging around them. And that's one thing I would say that I had to do a lot of growing up, especially when I was getting closer to Christ, is seeing who I was around, seeing who I was allowing to talk to me and allowing into my personal time, in my head, you know, how I was talking to them, how they were talking to me, how late we stayed on the phone, and it's crazy stuff like that, because that does affect you. And after a while, you start to feel obligated to listening to them, doing what they tell you to do. And it's just like, if you're the kind of if you know that they're the kind of person that don't have good intentions in the first place, your best bet is to stay away from them. Your best bet is to never even go out with them. If you say they don't have the same standards as you, or they don't respect the standards that you have, jump ship, because it's not going to be a good one, and the ship is going to sink either way. So I do have 3 things that you should do when dealing with peer pressure, if you're dealing with it now or just for future references, because pressure doesn't stop. You're going to have people in your life that are going to try and get you to do things and convince you of other things your entire life, especially being a person that follows Christ. There's going to be some people that are trying to convince you that it's the wrong thing to do, that it's not fulfilling enough, that it's not even worth taking time out of your day to do. And trust me, that's also something I dealt with. There's been so many times when people say, you're so young, why are you doing this? Why are you telling yourself you don't want to do this, you don't want to drink, you don't want to go party, you don't want to do that, you don't want to sleep around with these boys, you don't want to, and I'm like, because I'm not gonna force me to do it. That's not my life, that's not my style, that's not who I am. Allowing someone that rolls in the mud to tell me what to do with my white clothes. And a lot of the time, like I said, they'll say, just do it, you can clean your clothes later. But you gotta understand, they're telling you that after you've made the mess, you can clean it up yourself. They're not gonna come there and lend a helping hand to clean up the mess that they actually put you into or they convinced you to be a part of. Most of the time, they're just trying to get you to do what they want to do because that's who they are. They're insecure in their own position, so they got to bring people on their level. Misery loves company. So if someone else is miserable by the choices they've made in their life, they're going to go seek to get people in that same position and pressure them into doing things so that now they're on choices, and they know the choices aren't right. They know the choices are not smart at all, but they're going to convince you and persuade you or pressure you to do that. You need to get away from them immediately, because again, it's not anything that's worth doing. It's not anything that's good. How is it going to better you as a person? How is it going to help you grow closer to Christ? These are things also you have to think about when you're walking with Christ and you're walking in this world. This world is full of that. There's going to be more times you see that than you see Christ. And I'm going to be so honest with you. The only Christ some people will see sometimes is in you. That's why it's so important to be who you are, regardless of what pressure you're facing. If you know who God has called you to be, if you know who Jesus Christ is, if you know that Jesus Christ died for your sins and he rose on the third day, then you need to be living in the way that God has intended for you to live. And stop listening to these people who are seasonal people, who are people that come in your life for one moment and they're gone the next. And the most that they can do for you is say, oh, that's unfortunate. They're not anyone that's gonna help you get anywhere better in life. The person that's gonna be there to help you pick up the pieces is Christ. He's going to be the only one that was there before it happened and the one that's going to be there after it happens. So we have to be careful of who we allow into our lives, who we allow into our personal spaces and our times, and who we open up to, who we allow ourselves to be vulnerable to. It's more effective to pray than it is to vent to someone else. Because I'm telling you, what God does with your prayers, nobody can do in your venting time. No matter what advice they give you, no matter how much consolation you get from it, God can do way more with a prayer than someone on this planet can do with an hour of venting over the phone. I promise you. And while it's okay to let things come off your chest, it's okay to talk to someone you really trust. So I guarantee you, when it comes time to who your friends are, who you're hanging with, who you're spending most of your time with, who you're allowing yourself to give a lot of your personal information to, please check them. Pray about it, think about it, and be careful with it, because not everybody deserves a very intimate piece of you the way that they ask for it. Some people are not even strong enough to handle who you really are. So that's a whole other conversation. So here are the 3 things that I have that you can do when it comes time to dealing with peer pressure. Things you need to remember, things that you can do, and things that you can imply. The first thing is to check your circle. This is the most important thing, because sometimes it's the people that are on the boat that are making it sink. You gotta check these people. And when these people are pressuring you, you need to check them and put them in their place. Tell them, first of all, yeah, all that you doing right there, chill that out. Cut that out right now. We're not doing that today. Straight up and period. That's it. Tell them no. And as you see them going on and on pressuring you more, cut them off. And unfortunately, a lot of times by the time we know someone is like this, we're already in a deep relationship with them, or we have some type of serious, intimate connection with that person. And it's like, I'm lost. And that's why it's so important to check people's intentions and motives every now and then. Especially having friends that have the same standards as you is really important as well. People that have the same values, have the same boundaries, have the same ideas and mindset as you is very important. We have to be careful who we allow into our circle, who we allow to spend our time with, and who we allow to speak into our lives and tell us what's right from wrong. The second thing you need to do when you're dealing with peer pressure and you're trying to figure out how to maneuver through it is remember your boundaries. Remember who you are and whose you are. Remember why you set boundaries for yourself. Understand how important you are as an individual. If you allow this thing to take place in your life, will you be the same after? If you allow yourself to be like everybody else, if you allow yourself to conform, what will you gain out of that? I understand that being different can be hard, because trust me, I grew up and there was nothing regular about me, from who I was to how I wore my hair to what I looked like. And I always felt out of the circle, out of the mix. I felt like the black sheep literally out of everyone. So at the end of the day, I had to make sure that I kept up who I was. So I'm just saying, when it comes time to these things, when it comes time to people telling you, hey, you should do this, you should switch that, you should do that, you should always remember who you are, why you have certain boundaries, why it's important to be who you are. God made us different for a reason. God set us on different paths for a reason. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes you have to remind yourself, hey, I don't do this. I don't care who is doing it, I don't. And you have to remember that you're different than everybody else, that God set you apart for a reason. There's a reason why God wants you to be who you are. There's a reason why you have that standard, you have that boundary. So allow yourself to live in that. If everybody was doing the same thing, this world would be so boring. So boring. There's a good reason for having standards, there's a good reason for having values, and there's a good reason for having boundaries, whether it honors God or whether it just keeps you from becoming a person who you were never meant to be in the first place. The third thing you need to do is ask yourself, will God be happy? Ask yourself, will God be proud of you for doing whatever it is that you're being pressured to do? Would God be satisfied with you if you did whatever they're saying to you? You have to remember that we are not anybody else's, but we're God's. We're God's children. We're not anybody else's. Naughty, okay? Jesus died for our sins, not nobody else. When Jesus comes back, he gonna come and round us up. Ain't nobody else coming back to save us. Only Jesus. So we have to remember this stuff. We have to remember that it's important to honor God in what we do, what we say, and how we live. And you are gonna be the one that's gonna have to give account for everything you've said and done, no matter who pressured you to do it. So, long story short, guys, because I'm running out of time, these are things we can do when we're dealing with peer pressure. Peer pressure happens to all of us. Always say a prayer. God is your first and present help, and he's always going to be with you no matter where you go, no matter what you're dealing with. And there's nothing or nobody that is going to be bigger than him at all. So remember this, and I love you guys so much. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Jesus Lives in Her. I always forget the first part. _ Jesus Lives in Her _7 on Instagram. I talk about all kinds of things all the time. And don't forget to just, show some love. I love when you guys give me DMs. I love when you guys send me messages and, your encouraging words. You guys are so sweet. So I really appreciate it. And until next time, Kingdom Babe is out.